Ex-wife. Had me jailed for 8 months over child support. DNA test proves I'm not the father. The next day, I sued her for everything, and now she's begging for mercy. Hello, Reddit eyes plus here. My life changed forever the moment the gavel hit the judge's bench. 8 months. That's how long I'd spend in county lockup, a place where time moves slower than molasses on a winter morning. My crime? Falling behind on child support payments for a child I was told was mine. Her name was Melissa, my ex-wife. She was sweet as pie when we first met, a whirlwind romance that ended in an ill-fated marriage. I thought the baby she had 6 months into our marriage was mine. Of course I did. I was there at the hospital, cutting the cord, tears streaming down my face as I held this tiny human in my arms. But love, as it turns out, isn't always enough. Melissa and I divorced 3 years later. The love was long gone, but the monthly child support checks weren't. I paid every penny I could until I lost my job during a company layoff. I begged the court for a modification, explaining my situation. Melissa, however, painted me as a deadbeat dad who chose not to provide for his child. When I fell behind on payments, Melissa filed contempt charges. I was blindsided. One moment, I was a man trying to make ends meet, and the next, I was an inmate being issued an orange jumpsuit. 8 months of my life stolen. 8 months of cold metal bunks, tasteless food, and nights spent staring at the cracked ceiling wondering, how did I end up here? On my first day out of jail, I received a call that shattered the fragile peace I'd been clinging to. It was my mother, who had hired a lawyer to review my case while I was locked up. Jake, she said, her voice trembling with something between anger and relief. The lawyer pulled your medical records. You remember the fertility test you took when we thought you might not be able to have kids? My stomach dropped. Yeah, what about it? You're sterile, Jake. You've always been sterile. I couldn't breathe. The walls closed in around me as I realized what she was saying. That child, the one I'd gone to jail for, the one I'd paid thousands of dollars for over the years, wasn't mine. With the help of my lawyer, we immediately petitioned the court for a DNA test. Melissa fought it tooth and nail, but the judge ordered it anyway. The results? A cold, clinical 99.9% not the father. I didn't feel relief at first, just anger. Hot, blinding anger. I wanted answers, and Melissa wasn't offering any. Instead, she played the victim, sobbing in the courtroom as if she were the one whose life had been ruined. When the judge dismissed the child support case against me, I felt a flicker of justice, but that wasn't enough. Not for me. Not after what she'd done. The very next day, I filed a civil lawsuit against Melissa. Fraud, emotional distress, defamation. You name it. I wanted back every dime I'd ever paid, plus damages for the time I spent behind bars. My lawyer warned me that it wouldn't be an easy fight, but I didn't care. Melissa's tune changed quickly. She went from defiant to desperate in the blink of an eye. She called me late one night, her voice trembling. Jake, please, don't do this. Think about the child. She still thinks you're her father. Her words hit me like a sucker punch. That little girl was innocent in all this. She didn't deserve to be caught in the crossfire, but neither did I. Melissa, I said, my voice ice cold. I spent 8 months of my life in jail because of your lies. That little girl deserves better than you. And I hung up. The courtroom was packed during the civil trial. Melissa put on quite the performance, crocodile tears and all. She claimed she made a mistake, that she truly thought I was the father, but the evidence was stacked against her. The timeline didn't add up, and her credibility crumbled under cross-examination. The jury ruled in my favor. I was awarded $250,000 in damages, enough to rebuild my life, but no amount of money could erase what I'd been through. Melissa was left financially ruined, and the life she'd built on lies came crashing down around her. Melissa tried to contact me several times after the trial, begging for mercy. Each time, I ignored her. I wasn't interested in her apologies or her excuses. My focus was on moving forward, leaving the past, and her, behind. As for the little girl, I made sure she was cared for. I worked with my lawyer to ensure she'd receive a portion of the settlement in a trust fund for her future. She wasn't to blame for her mother's actions, and I wasn't going to punish her for it. Some nights I still think about those 8 months in jail, the years of my life spent believing a lie. But in the end, I reclaimed my freedom, my dignity, and my peace of mind. Melissa lost everything because of her own deceit, and justice, though slow, was served. If there's one lesson I've learned, it's this. Truth has a way of coming out, no matter how deeply it's buried. And when it does, the fallout is inevitable.